welcome. Thanks for coming. I always like to ask if anybody's seen me speak before, just so I tell you what jokes so I know what jokes to say. Just one or two. Okay. Well, welcome. You came into this room because we're going to talk about, I've been listening to some of the other speakers, some really great stuff. And I give them a lot of credit for coming here and talking about what they talk about. I have a question for you, though. Do you think it's gotten harder?
Yes.
Okay. That's what I wanted to do. No. Some of us are totally tuned in. So, for those that aren't as tuned, do you think it's harder in the last 10 years? What's on your mind? Some of you are. Do you think it's harder in the last 10 years to meet someone? Is it easier, or is it the same? Harder. Okay. And I think it is too. Let me tell you how I know this. I actually left the United States for 9 years. I lived on a tropical island in the Western Caribbean for 9 years. Nice. And it was kind of, sort of to get away. And it was really cool. I do radio and television. I've been doing that for 20 years. So when I went down there, this area in the Western Caribbean did not have radio and television for English-speaking people. So I kind of stepped in and did that. And anybody that came to Roatan or lived on Roatan for a while and then went home, they would, over live streaming, would listen to the Roatan Bruce Show. That's what I was then. I don't suspect anybody knows Roatan Bruce. But anyway, it was kind of a shock when I returned about 2 years ago to see how things have changed a little bit. And it's interesting because you don't see yourself changing, you don't see things changing because you're here on a day-to-day basis, but when you leave and come back, it's a little bit of a shock. Let me give you an example. When I started speaking in the 90s, I would go to a temple or a church and put up a little sign and say, love, sex, and dating into the 21st century. Nobody knew who I was before I even did radio or television. And I'd pack the temple or church with hundreds of people would show up. And then as the years went on, hopefully no indication of my appeal to the audiences started getting smaller and smaller. And that really bothered me. Because if you remember our generation, we went to those seminars, didn't we? And they were really interesting. And they were really helpful. They weren't bad. You didn't walk out of those seminars saying, man, that was really awful, right? You learned. There was always something. They would always give you an aha moment, 1, 2, or 3 of those. They always helped. Why did we stop going? Why did we stop going?
Internet.
TV.
The internet. Okay. Made it a lot easier. Why else? I have my own little bit of theories. Anybody else have any theories why we stopped going?
Tired of hearing the same thing over and over.
Tired of hearing the same thing over and over again. But we need to be able to, for me, I've been trying and doing things, and I'm married now. I was single for many, many years. But I took a lot of what I learned. Let me tell you a little bit about it. I've been on a 38-year self-study on several different philosophies on life. In the beginning, to help me understand women. I was one of those people that complained a lot that when I met someone, the person that I really liked lost interest in me for whatever reasons, and the persons that I really didn't care whether we had a relationship or not, they were really hard to discourage. Anybody else have that experience? Just 2 or 3 people, that's it?
All the time.
Okay, I want to practice something. Everybody raise your hand. Everybody has? Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Because I'm going to ask you to raise it a few times for some fun reasons. And if you don't, I just want to make sure that it's not an arthritic thing. We can do it? Okay, I saw a lot of hands go up. By the way, we'll eventually get to the name of this seminar. It's uncovering the mysteries to successful dating, relationships, and love. I took my 38 years, and about 18 years after I started doing that, I got on America Online. A friend of mine said to me, if you go on America Online, you can share the things that you've learned with a lot of other people, and I did that. And starting in 1993, a long time ago now, goodness gracious, 20 years ago, I got online as I'm the original love coach, L-U-V, coach, at AOL.com. There's no numbers or anything else after it. There was only a couple of 100,000 people on there at the time. And this fellow said to me, if you open up a room called Relationship Coaching, people will find that room and they'll come in and ask you questions. And that's exactly what I did. I would open up that room whenever I got bored or I wasn't doing anything else, which was quite a lot back then. And I, over a 10-year period of time, something just kept telling me to do it. You know, it's one of those things. You ever hear a voice? Sometimes they take you away for hearing that voice, but not all the time. Sometimes you hear a voice and you listen to it. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. And I would hear a voice that just said, just continue to help people. Continue to share what you've learned. So some people would say like an idiot, but I was okay with it. Over a 10-year period of time, I worked with over 6,000 people. Helped 6,000 people. And one thing I didn't count on, which really blew me away, was that I heard their stories. I thought I was there to help them, and I did. I did help a lot of people. But I heard their stories. And it's all documented. It's all written down here. What I couldn't believe was how similar many of the stories were. No matter where you were from, no matter what you were doing, almost no matter what age you were, no matter what city you were living. Everybody thought, gee, if they go from Chicago to Detroit, there might be some more single people. Or if they went out to LA, don't ever do that if you're single looking for relationships. That is one crazy town. Let me tell you something. It is the most dysfunctional city in the world. Anybody from LA here? Because if the word gets back there, then I'm saying this, I'm in big trouble. But it really is. Why do you think that why do you think it's so dysfunctional? Hollywood, we look at TV and we go, wow, look at those beautiful people, right? Why do you think it's so dysfunctional? Any ideas?
Phony.
Spooning.
It's phony.
Phony. Why is it phony? What's their deal?
Make believe.
Well, that's not quite true. I'm not going to.
Florida.
Well, you know, really what it is that every lead in the school play who thought that they had a chance, they all went out to LA. Okay, and every boy and girl that won, you know, the best looking in their high school, they all went out to LA. Imagine a whole city with people like that. That's pretty interesting. But what happens is that, like for instance, I had a hard time making it there. I'm not homosexual. I'm not into cocaine. I don't deal cocaine. I wasn't an alcoholic. I didn't fit anywhere. It's a very dysfunctional place. Because you have to be terribly dysfunctional to put yourself under those conditions. Think of all the rejection. You think you have rejection? Think of all the rejection an actor or an actress goes through. How you have to develop a stone wall around you just to make it through the next day. It's really, really very, very hard.